Namaskar, this is Akhilesh Bhargava. Welcome to Tit-Bits on Business and Finance with me. India seems to be a land of giant, shocking frauds, and they keep getting unearthed one after the other with very boring regularity now, rather predictable regularity. ILF is passe. DHFL under investigation is again old story. Jet Airways, a story in the making but out in the open again. But the current headlines continue to have more and more new cases. What are the cases hitting the headlines at the moment? Today, the newspapers talk about major irregularities in the EPFO, the Employee Provident Fund Organization. The EPFO is a body of the central government which manages the provident and pension funds of over 45 million persons. 45 million persons employees means lakhs of crores by way of their family members. And this fund manages over 11 lakh crores and counting. And what are the findings of an internal audit on EPFO recently? The findings are the usual: criminal misuse of money, fraudulent siphoning of money, and money which is our sacred retirement money of the general public just being diverted away in illegal manners on a very rampant basis. So the findings are pension being paid into bank accounts of persons who don't exist. The findings are multiple payments of provident funds having taken place, payments made into bank accounts of the wrong persons, investments made into substandard securities, situations where payments were made completely contrary to even the balance of the person concerned, and there are many such instances. So the EPFO now again needs investigation. It needs to be forensically audited to come to know the actual state of affairs. It actually reminds us of the kind of NPA crisis that India faces, wherein almost according to us, all the large accounts in the 15 lakh crores worth of NPAs have been willful defaulters, people who were hand in glove with the organizations and they very willfully defaulted them. The new kid on the block for these kind of mismanagement of funds is the PMC Cooperative Bank, a Mumbai-based cooperative bank having deposits over 11,500 crores. And what does it turn out? The PMC Bank is in a failed situation today, likely to collapse financially unless the government steps in, which we think it is likely to. But what is the reason for its crisis? The reason is that out of its total loans and advances of over 8,500 crores, 2,500 crores have been given to a single tainted, bankrupted entity, which is HDIL. And because HDIL, which is bankrupt, has not been able to repay the PMC Bank, today we are in a situation where the deposit holders are facing a crisis. The bank has been put under administration by the RBI, and we don't know when will the depositors' money be returned. Shockingly, loans to HDIL have been given completely contrary to the guidelines of the RBI. And apart from giving these kind of loans, these facts were clearly hidden from the RBI itself, says a former managing director of the bank, against whom an FIR is likely to be lodged. Interestingly, and not surprisingly, in such a scammy state of affairs, what is also reported is that at times loans were given to HDIL or its directors or related parties, even without the sanction of the approval of the board of directors of the bank. So PMC Bank, the next kid on the block. The next one in the news is Indiabulls. The Delhi High Court has finally directed the RBI and SEBI to investigate, to look into the affairs of Indiabulls on charges of siphoning of funds running into tens of thousands of crores by the promoters of Indiabulls through the usage of thousands of shell companies, wherein money was siphoned away, taken away into the companies belonging to the promoters of Indiabulls. So finally, the company gets into inspection by the regulators. Yet another one making the news is the FIR lodged in the case of Maharashtra State Cooperative Bank, which names Mr. Sharad Pawar, Mr. Ajit Pawar, and 70 other officials and related persons of the bank. And the amount involved here is 25,000 crores. Money taken away by way of money laundering, bogus loans, bad loans, loans in violation of the RBI guidelines, all meant to benefit these directors, promoters of the bank. The list continues. And the next one is one of misuse of power. Sindhu Shri Khullar, a former CEO of Niti Aayog and who was on the board of FIPB and who was one of the persons who approved very fraudulently and illegally the approvals given to INX Media for their foreign investment. Her name has now been cleared by the government for prosecution and investigation in this case. And along with her are many other bureaucrats who were involved in this entire illegal approvals granted to the INX Media Company by FIPB, which was headed by Mr. P. Chidambaram. 4 more IS officers have been named by the government to be prosecuted. Like I said, we will continue to keep hearing of these kind of scams, frauds with very boring regularity. The point that is there and the very common issue which is there in all of these is that the top persons have been involved in all of them. Interestingly, if you take the EPFO, it's a government organization with very stringent rules, regulations, systems and controls, and yet you have this rampant mismanagement of its affairs. So is the case of the Maharashtra State Cooperative Bank. In fact, every organization, whether it is controlled by the government or it is regulated by a regulator, on paper, it has got very tough systems, very strict controls, but they are all misused. And in the process, monies are defrauded on a large scale. What finally happens because of these kind of misuses? Take the case of Indiabulls or 25,000 crores gone out of Maharashtra State Cooperative Bank or 2,500 crores gone out of the PMC Bank. What finally happens is that the entire legal, lawful system of the country gets defrauded, such that a lot of extremely disturbing byproducts come out of this entire misuse of the system. The first one, whenever a public organization's funds are misused or defrauded, a crime gets committed, there is misuse and abuse of funds, and because of that, a crony capitalism class is created in the country. Those who are favorites of the system benefit out of these crimes, and there is unjust enrichment. But interestingly, these are the privileged class. These are the class that are patronized by the system, and these are the persons who have benefited out of these thousands of crores that have gone out of the system. So we have economic crimes being committed with regularity and very shocking ones. The next one is that of course there is a subversion of the law. The sanctity of the law is completely mauled and murdered according to us, because all those laws which are meant to be followed are violated, are broken, and of course for the benefit of all these persons who are the persons in power. Because of that, the common man's respect for law is of course lost. Why should a common man who works hard, who pays taxes, who respects the law, be then forced to follow the law when he sees that all these top honchos who manage these organizations are corrupt, criminal, and completely engaged in malpractices which defraud the systems? As I said, there is illegal enrichment of a privileged class. All these kind of instances actually undermine India's democracy. We are proud of our democracy, but here is a democracy wherein this bunch of people that man the systems, they defraud the systems and create a class which is more equal than the others. So India's democracy gets undermined, and finally the development process of course gets derailed. There is huge giant misuse of funds which should have been put to productive use, and that does not get done, and in the process our progress gets hindered. If India does not really achieve its true potential of development, it is also because our own funds are misused, our own funds are taken away, and resultantly our growth rates suffer. But the long and short is, these crimes are all being committed by the top dogs. These crimes happen because the top ones are willing to sacrifice, dilute, compromise their integrity. And resultantly, what we are seeing is shocking crimes. All the big and mighty are involved. And the ones who lose out are all the small ones. This is Akhilesh Bhargava signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.